Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Henry Winkler will participate in Northern Virginia's 23rd annual Fall for the Book Festival with a virtual event this Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. I spoke with Winkler and co-author Lynn Oliver about their children's book Hollywood vs. the Galaxy, as well as Winkler's memories of Happy Days and the latest on his Emmy-winning role in HBO's Barry. Henry, thanks so much for joining us. It's a pleasure.
You know what? Good morning to you from LA, and I am so excited.
Yeah, thank you for taking a quick break out of, I know you're out there, you're currently shooting the new season of Barry, right?
We are. We're almost done. We finish at the beginning of November, and it will probably be on sometime in March.
My wife and I are huge fans of that show. You and Bill Hader are amazing in that show. But let's talk about the reason we're here, which is this new children's book. I know you're co-author with Lynn Oliver, who may hopefully connect to this Zoom here in a second. But in the meantime, you can take it yourself. Tell me what's like the premise of the book? You know, if parents picked up this book, you know, what's the story?
Okay, so this is for 3rd to 7th grade, and Lynn and I we write comedy. It is our background. But underneath the comedy is the very challenge of being a child. What happens if I reveal myself? Will people still like me? Is friendship more important than success? Like that, you know? And we write. We don't write down to the children, and I have to say, I modestly, I think it is a great holiday gift. This is one of 3, but Lynn and I both write so that they are standalones. You don't have to read the other 2 in order to get the 3rd.
Gotcha. So is this, you said that it was, one of 3. This is the 3rd installment of your Alien Superstar series. Remind us, what were the first 2? They're all Buddy Burger, right?
They're all Buddy Burger. I'll tell you exactly. So he is 13 years old. He lives on a repressive planet. And at 13, their ability to enjoy, to smell better, to taste better, to see better, to hear, to feel better is cut off because the supreme leader doesn't want anybody getting in the way. And his grandmother, Grandma Winkler, who's 900 years old, is the master mechanic of the Starfleet of the planet. And she builds him, she cobbles together a rocket ship. He takes off and he lands on the only address he knows on Earth, backlot Universal Studios. I mean, who is going to mention a rocket ship on the backlot of a movie studio? And I don't know how this happens, but he does get a job on a situational comedy because he's already got the alien costume.
Gotcha. Thanks for walking us through that. So real quick, dish on your co-author, Lynn Oliver here. What makes, that such a nice collaboration, and, and it's your 3rd one together. So why do you keep coming back? It must be a good partnership.
You know what, Jason? We have written 37 novels together.
Oh my God.
We started doing the Hank Zipser series, which was the story of me being learning challenged. And then we just had a great time. And I'll tell you what it is. We work in a very wonderful way. Lynn sits at the computer and types. I talk. Then Lynn has an idea. I wait. She types. Then she reads her stuff back to me, and we argue over every word. And I think that Lynn has joined us.
He just bragged on you. Now brag on him.
Well, I wish I could hear what he said. So I love working with Henry because he's smart and funny and collaborative and has great insights into human behavior and into kid behavior.
Absolutely. And he said that, I know this is the 3rd one in the Buddy Burger series, but he said, Henry, what was it? 37 total? Is that what you said?
We have written 37 together in exactly the way that I described. And if we don't laugh, it doesn't go in the book.
So that's sort of the litmus test. You try out a joke on one or the other, and if it gets a laugh, it goes in. If not, it's in the trash heap.
Absolutely. And sometimes Lynn has taught me that sometimes you love a joke, but it just doesn't fit anymore in the flow of the story, and you have to send it on its way, and hopefully you can use it in the next book.
Right, absolutely. Now, have you guys participated in this fall for the book festival before? It's in Northern Virginia. I know you'll be appearing virtually on Friday, October 29th. But have you done this particular festival before?
No, we never have. We're very much looking forward to it. We've been in Virginia at local bookstores, but never at this book festival.
Well, it's going to be really exciting because I know there's a lot of Henry Winkler fans and a lot of fans of your series here. So you Henry sort of took me into the story, but is this, are there any illustrations? Is it like a picture book, or is it more, you actual a thicker sort of book for young adults?
I like that you say thicker. I think that's the way kids think of books. They're thin or they're thick.
Right.
And this one is thick, but it has plenty of illustrations. So it's really kid friendly. It's a novel, but it's a highly illustrated novel with lots of great illustrations that have a sort of comic book feel to it. So the style of the illustrations, it goes along with the comedy of the book. And so it's really funny and fun for kids to read.
And when you're reading, now for me, reading was hard. And so you're reading along, and then there's an illustration, and the illustrations are like islands. You get to rest for a minute and enjoy the illustration and get into your imagination of what else the illustration means. So it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Now, Lynn, I mean, I know it feels like you've known each other forever after 37 collaborations, but take me back to that very first one. Did you grow up, loving Henry on Happy Days, and then suddenly you said, "Oh my gosh, I get to work with the Fonz"? Take me back to that beginning.
Well, actually, it's interesting. Henry and I are close to the same age, so it wasn't like I was a young child growing up with him. I certainly knew his work from Happy Days and admired it hugely. But when we were put together by a mutual friend who is an agent and a manager, and we had lunch, and Henry was telling me about his childhood. I wasn't really getting to meet him or know him as the Fonz. I was getting to know him as a kid who had struggled with learning differences. And despite his success in his career and in Hollywood, he still felt this sting of growing up feeling like he wasn't as accomplished as other kids in school. So that was actually the sort of basis, not his celebrity, but his humanity, that who you are as a child and how you're treated as a child stays with you forever. And so that's what we wanted, that's what we write about. And that's what we wanted to write about, is every child, everyone growing up feels a lack in some way. And when they come to understand that each person has their own gifts to bring to the world, and you don't have to match everybody else in terms of what you do, then you get real humanity. So that's the part that I was relating to.
Gotcha. Well, and obviously, we mentioned, Henry is known for Happy Days, but you yourself have an amazing resume. You wrote a bunch of Harry and the Hendersons and produced. I mean, gosh, you were executive vice president MCA Universal for like over a decade. But how do you think those two, I'll call them parallel careers, that both, like you said, you're about the same age. You didn't grow up watching each other, but admiring each other, these parallel tracks out in Hollywood. Did you bring any lessons from that world into now reaching children?
Well, yeah. First of all, in the process we used to write, which Henry had described to you, which is in the same room at the same time, very collaborative. That's the way a lot of television is written. So we were both familiar. If you're only a novelist, you're kind of alone in a room. But if you work in television or film, you're together with other writers and collaborating together to write. And that's a very different process. So I think that really helped a lot. And then in terms of Alien Superstar, the book is about a kid on being the star of a sitcom and being on a soundstage at Universal, where I have been and Henry have been most of our lives.
Henry, did it sound like you had something you wanted to add there?
No, I was going to say, yeah, that I totally agree with Lynn that not only is the writing collaborative, but we write about the ups and the downs, because we have found, Lynn and I, traveling around the country, around the world, actually talking in classrooms, children love the idea of Hollywood. What is it? A limousine, a red carpet. Their imaginations go. They love outer space. We put the two together and then used our backgrounds to show them the good and the horror of working in Hollywood.
Horror?
Horror.
Horror, the horror of working in Hollywood. Wow.
The horror. Well, it's Halloween almost, so there you go.
Horror. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, tell me about, I know you also run the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. Tell me about that.
Well, that's a group that I co-founded when I was 21 years old, because I directly out of college, I had gotten a job as a children's book writer for an educational series. And I knew that there was a lot to know about the field that I didn't know. So I thought, well, I'll join a group or attend a conference and get some instruction. And there was none. So I started one. That was a long time ago. And now there are 27,000 members worldwide. It's the largest writers organization in the world. So it's a nonprofit, and it's comprised of people who write and illustrate and publish and agent children's books. So it's a tremendous network of people who are involved in this very wonderful, dedicated field of ours.
It's such a great, it must be such a rewarding field to be in too. You know, we're writing for children and, you know, sparking their imagination for the rest of their lives. It's fantastic what you're doing.
I will tell you that we don't write self-help books. We write comedy, and it happens to be about something. And so many times we have met children who come running up and said, I have read every Hank Zipser. He's me. I understand the alien. I know how he feels kind of left out. That's me. So that is rewarding.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for joining us to talk about this amazing book festival and the latest book. Before we run, my listeners will kill me if I don't ask at least one question about the Fonz. How did you come up with the famous phrase? Was it an accident? Was it in the script? How did that come about?
You know what? They wrote a paragraph for the Fonz to say. And I thought that is not as cool as reducing a lot of language to one sound. So you can say, hey, she's beautiful. Hey, I'm hungry. Hey, do not mess with me. And the only thing that I added from my favorite sport at the time, which was horseback riding, was whoa.
You doubled your vocabulary.
I did. But let me just say, memorizing at that time was really easy.
Exactly. Did Bobby Boucher change your favorite sport from horseback riding to football, or did it always stay horseback?
Do you know what? I'll tell you something. I have been so lucky in my career. I've worked with Gary Marshall, with Ron Howard, with Adam Sandler, with Mitch Hurwitz and Arrested Development, with Bill Hader and Alec Berg now on Barry. I have worked with some of the greats, and we have a movie out right now directed by the master Wes Anderson called The French Dispatch.
French Dispatch, yeah. Well, real quick before we run, then let's leave it, on that newest note, because that's premiering, I think, in our area, like right about now. It's playing at a bunch of the Virginia film festivals and stuff. How much of a treat was it to work with Wes Anderson? That guy is an auteur and sort of a legend in his own time in a
He
certain way.
but everything that you hear is the truth. I will just tell you, you're standing in the cold. There are no stand-ins. So when he lines up a shot, you don't have someone to stand there for the 2 hours and do it for you. You do it yourself. We're now outside. It's freezing cold. He says, Henry, I go, oh my God, Wes Anderson is going to give me direction. I said, yes, sir. He said, could you move a millimeter to your left? I said, I can, and I will. And I'll tell you how great Wes is. He read Alien Superstar.
Really?
Yeah.
What did he think? What was his reaction to the book?
You know what? I see the movie now. Maybe he doesn't, but I do.
That's great. Lynn's probably like, yeah, let's get Wes to make it. That would be fantastic.
I'm on board.
Yeah, pun intended, right? On board.
Yeah, absolutely, pun intended.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you. Henry, what you teased it at the very beginning. Let's wrap it back around. What can we expect from season 3 of Barry? The first 2 were so awesome, so hilarious. And then I feel like my wife and I have been waiting with bated breath. I feel like there's been a long break here, the pandemic and everything. But what can we expect from season 3? We can't wait.
This seems to be the legacy of this show. Remember, we shot the pilot in 2016.
Gosh.
And here we are shooting season 3 in 2021. I'm not allowed to say anything or I will be dead. But let me just say, it is harrowing.
We really, really can't wait, and we're so glad it's back. But first, in the meantime, while you're waiting for Barry, check out this new children's book called Hollywood versus the Galaxy. It's part of the Buddy Burger series here, the Alien Superstar series. Henry Winkler and Lynn Oliver, the co-authors, will be appearing in a virtual event on Friday, October 29th at 1:30 p.m. As part of the Fall for the Book Festival in Northern Virginia.
And come and join us.
Yeah, come join it. You gotta come. Are they going to be able to ask questions? Is it going to be interactive?
You know what? We love that. We love when we get to answer questions from the listening audience.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate both of you. I'm glad we can make it work where both of you were able to hop on here at the same time. It works so much better to have both co-authors. So thanks so much for joining us, Henry and Lynn.
All right, thank you, Jason. It was a
Jason,
pleasure.
It was wonderful. And Lynn, you were wonderful.
Late but wonderful.
Doesn't matter. You made up the time.
All right, that's great. Well, thank you. And we hope everyone has a good laugh and that kids really love Alien Superstar. He's a great character and he's a lot of fun to hang out with.
And I just want to say shamelessly, think holiday.
Perfect. Buy it for Christmas or
you put a laugh in their stocking.
A laugh in the stocking. There you go. Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for doing this.
Pleasure, Jason.
We talked more Happy Days memories with Winkler in 2016 when he was promoting his NBC reality show, Better Late Than Never. Henry, thanks so much for joining us.
I thank you so much. How is everything?
We're doing all right here in the nation's capital. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from my office in my home in L.A.
Nice. Well, we're glad you're joining us. It's called Better Late Than Never.
You know what? Here it is. For the last 7 days, I've traveled everywhere in the country. And I've been to the East Coast. I have been to the Midwest. I've been here on the West Coast. People have said to me, I haven't laughed this hard in a long time. I nearly peed myself. And I now carry extra underwear for my fans.
Do you actually do you hand them the underwear, when
I do. I do.
Nice.
Yeah, they're paper, they're disposable, and that's the kind of caring guy I am.
Well, it depends.
Very good. Very quick.
On their age, yeah. But all right, well, let's say some of our listeners maybe missed the first episode. Give them the quick little breakdown of what this is, because it's hilarious.
5 guys: William Shatner, George Foreman, heavyweight champion of the world. Terry Bradshaw, 4 Super Bowl rings. Jeff Dye, young comedian who has traveled all over America with his stand-up funny. And me. 6 cities, 5 cameras, 35 days, and we made it into a television show. We went through a culture we didn't understand. I had a pork vagina last week, in a hole in the wall in Tokyo of a yakitori restaurant, and it stayed in my mouth for about a second and a half, and then I spit it out across the room. I think it's still hanging on the wall. I am a mongoose to a Hong Kong cobra. The cobra wins.
Yeah.
I teach a school of ninja students how to be stealth the Winkler way.
What about next week? Give us a little preview of what crazy antics you guys are doing in episode 3.
Next week, we're in Korea.
Ooh.
And let me say, I do something that I have never done before. At 7:30 in the morning, I told the producers in Korea, I will not do this. And at 10 o'clock at night, I did it. So I felt like I accomplished something. It was amazing.
Nice. That's a nice little tease there. All right. You mentioned all the big heavy hitters and heavyweights and quarterbacks and the like playing your
But
coast.
we didn't have any small hitters.
Awesome.
We only had heavyweights.
Exactly. Go through them each. Embarrass your co-stars here a little bit, one by one. You know.
All right. Terry Bradshaw has the heart of Oklahoma. He is just a big spirit, a big personality, and looks great in a cowboy hat. If he dares to come and tries to hug you, you want to put a surrogate in there because he will crush every bone. He has no idea how strong he is. Bill Shatner has read every book on the planet and wants you to know what's on every page.
Right.
George Foreman has made napping into an art form. Just as his tush reaches the chair, he's in REM.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then there's me having the greatest time of my life. I was scared when we started. I am grateful that I was smart enough to say yes.
That's fantastic. Do you ever rib on Terry? Because football season's almost here. If you were as a coach, how would you send Bobby Boucher after him on a blitz?
Well, I would go for his knees because they're very bad. He had a knee replaced. His body is breaking down.
I'm sure
he crawled through Asia.
I'm sure he loves hearing that.
You don't want to play this for him or I'm dead.
Oh, that's great. I think Bobby Boucher will back you up. Obviously, I want to get back around to the show, but Gene Wilder just passed away last night, and it's been a rough 2016. I wanted to get your thoughts, well, quickly on Gene, but mostly also on the great Gary Marshall. You know, you worked with him a lot. He helped, make you a household name as the Fonz. But, what are your memories on Gene as a comic genius, and then also just Gary Marshall, also a genius?
Gary Marshall was my mentor. Gary Marshall was my friend. Gary Marshall was my teacher. He was just a one of a kind. And the same can be found. Now, I did not know Gene Wilder. I only knew him going to his movies.
Right.
But he literally was an original. Yeah. I mean, everything that he was in, you remember.
Yeah.
His characters were unique. There is nobody like him today. Probably will never be anybody like him.
What you said Gary was just so personal to you, but what was it that made him such a genius for Happy Days and every other spinoff and everything he created?
Well, I would imagine first of all God-given talent.
Yeah.
His ability to know funny, to create funny. But I think that one of the most important things in anything that you do in your life is the ability to listen. Not to just have an opinion, but to open your opinion to somebody else's so that you can combine them and make it even better.
That's true. If I wasn't listening to you, I wouldn't have known about the underwear for the fans and things. See, you got to listen.
And there you go. And not only that, but they don't chafe.
Oh, that is fantastic. When you're doing these phone interviews, has it come to the point where reporters have jumped the shark on asking about jumping the shark?
Not at all, because jumping the shark is a part of life. I've jumped the shark. I'm the only actor who's jumped it twice. On Arrested Development, I jumped over the shark.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's hilarious. So, see, you're even at the point where you're fine, recreating it and spoofing it.
Well, you know what? I love my career. I am grateful that I had a dream when I was 7, and at 70, I am still doing it, and I'm still here with you. And in January, I start shooting a new show with Bill Hader, who is brilliant on his own for HBO. So I am a lucky, lucky human being.
Absolutely. Can I ask, before you go, I want to ask you about Night Shift, because I know Ron
Yes,
Howard.
one of my favorite films.
What was it sort of like working with, Ron, both, as a co-star actor, young guy on Happy Days, but then watching him sort of grow into this new directing role and watch him grow even years after Night Shift?
Well, so here's the thing. One, Ron knew what he wanted to do since he was 16. He wanted to be a director. He asked me on the set of Happy Days, he said, so what do you think? I said, Ron, you are so personally powerful. Honest to God, you look like a loaf of Wonder Bread. But inside, you are powerful. There is nothing you can't do. Number 3, he was worried because he was so young, and the crew has been doing it for so long. Would they listen to him? They listened to him. They couldn't wait for him to tell him what to do because he's so good at what he does. 4, he said, you can do either role. I'd just like you to be in the movie. So I figured, all right, I've played the Fonz now for 10 years. I'm going to play Richie. And that's how I picked Chuck.
That's great. There you go. Well, see, you've got such range. It's awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, we know we're up against the clock, so we'll cut you loose. But, in closing, why should we tune in?
I want to tell you, I promise you, if you do, we will, as a group, make you laugh.
Awesome. We'll get the extra underwear ready, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What a pleasure to chat with you.
Thanks so much for joining us on Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Remember to hit the subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.